I would like to thank all our viewers who had actually enabled us to reach 300 plus subscriptions as well as 1500 plus total video views in covering all the videos of the channel. So do continue support and share with your colleagues, friends, whoever is related to the field of radiology. So that in the future we'll get motivated further and we'll be putting better and better videos. So this is my private venture. There is no other support from any other person. So everything is put up here is made by me alone. So do consider the effort and do support. Thank you, and please use headphones once again. So as mentioned earlier, today we will be going through how to acquire a spectroscopy in an 1.5 Tesla machine. So to the details. So in my department we use a Siemens branded machine called Magnetome Essenza, and it is an 1.5 Tesla machine. We do have a body coil as well as a body coil for each part, and in brain we use the surface coil or the head coil, and we also have the TIM acquisition model, but TIM stands for total imaging matrix. It basically means that you can stitch up images. You have a longer coil so that you can acquire longer part of the body at in one go, which reduces the time factor significantly for MRI acquisition. So other than that, everything is basic. We do have single voxel acquisition, we have multi voxel acquisition. We can take chemical shift imaging as the baseline study, which if you want to understand what is CSI imaging, you just go through the chess part which I mentioned in our physics section. So that's the thing. So right now we'll go ahead with the next. So we have acquired all the three planes of images now. So what we are going to do is I'll just play the video continuously so that you may understand what we are dealing with here. So right now we have all three planes ready for planning for spectroscopy. So this is a coronal flare image of the brain. This is an axial T2 image, and this is a sagittal image in T2 acquisition. So please go through the previous videos to understand how we identify the image sequences and what are the basic sequences which you have to take prior spectroscopy. So I'll play the video now. So basically what we are now doing is, now we are actually planning the spectroscopy. So as you can see here very clearly that we have two sets of imaging. One, SVS stands for single voxel spectroscopy, CSI stands for chemical shift imaging. So we have acquisitions at 30 ms, 135 ms, as I have mentioned in our previous slide. These are the basics. Time echo imaging, these are all TEs, time to echo. So 30 is the short TE, 135 is the long TE. So similarly you can see the time taken for acquiring each image sets. So it varies from 5 minutes, 445 minutes. You can always see that the lower T images are acquired using like a 15 to 20 seconds shorter duration. The difference is much evident in single voxel spectroscopy rather than chemical shift imaging. So we are now going to do a chemical shift imaging or using spin echo of 135. So once you do that, you will get a screen. On your screen you will get a voxel indicator. This is called a voxel indicator. So you can see a large square box which is graded in yellow color. Inside it you have green color lines running both in rows and columns. So what here is that you have a larger square and you have a smaller square here. So basically imaging is done within this white square. That is the principle of chemical shift imaging or multi-voxel technology acquisition. So you should remember that it is not acquired in a single slice. It is acquired in a volumetric level. So you can see the thickness of this voxel is seen here in both SAG and coronal images. You can see the white is again highlighted here. So if you do a spectroscopy at this current scenario right now, you will be acquiring the image of this entire volume. or you will be acquiring the spectroscopy of this entire volume. So you don't need that, because whenever the voxel is too big or it comes close to a scale bony structure or it comes in contact with fluids, generally you will get more artifacts than a better curve. So to avoid that, we have to adjust the size of the voxel. That is what we are going to do now. So now we are refocusing the voxel. We are trying to identify the pathologic location, and then we are planning it in both axial as well as coronal planes. So now he is adjusting the volume from right to left, volume from anterior to posterior. So he has set it as 30 mm. So you can see how much significantly the size has reduced. Now it has become a smaller voxel. So now if you take a spectroscopy of this area, the data will be much relevant. So the ideal way is to keep the voxel size not too big or not too small. So it should be optimal. So we usually set it between 40 to 50 mm in both. So it should be same 40 or 50. Okay. So now the square is somewhat adequate for the size of the area which we want to evaluate. So this is just a sample. I am just showing you how to place the location. So what we are actually doing here in this part is saturation bands. So what we do is, once selected, you have to select saturation regions and apply number of bands. You can apply more and more bands. You have to just click on that down arrow and you have to add more saturation bands. So each band you have to click down. So it is done in on 3-dimensional planes. What we are doing is we are trying to avoid signals from all other voxels inside and outside the entire larger voxel box. We are only focusing on the area within this box. So you can see he is adjusting all the bands in the periphery. Okay, so you can see how nicely everything is set. So you have to do this to get a very good image, and your saturation bands have to be placed so perfectly to acquire a very good curve. See, this is very essential. So this is one of the important steps which you apply to suppress signals from other parts. This is similar to how you do in your what you call saturation sequences in elsewhere morphological imaging. So only thing is we are applying the bands here using the same technology. So we are now applying the bands for to all other areas. So right now you can see he has applied a total of 6 bands. So that is 2 each in all planes. So that application of band in a proper plane required to be done has to be very accurate, and the band thickness is roughly 3 centimeters. So everything is mentioned here, and position of each bands is also given here. Orientation is also given. So these all things are very little significance, because these things comes automatically. Only thing you have to select is the saturation region. You have to click here. So you can select one band each. So you press plus and keep on adding. So that's how you do. So once you added a band, if you want to go and select it back, what you have to do is you click here again and you have to select the number. So the first one which we added will come as number 1. In that you can adjust the size and thickness here. You can change the position here, and you can change the orientation here. So which is now in modern machines with the modern algorithms, you don't have to adjust here. You can do it here, which is much easier. So hope everybody has understood. This is the most important. I am telling you again, guys, apart from the first set which you have done earlier, this is the second most important part of the spectroscopy acquisition. Once you have done this planning and everything correctly, the rest the machine will do. You don't have much role after this. So we will continue ahead. So once the setting is done, now everything is in place. So image position copying is actually done to transfer the position to each planes. Okay, so it will not change in one plane when you are trying to align the other planes. So this is how it's done. So once you have done it, you can press start. Okay, so once start is pressed, the initial step will be frequency adjustment. Then second, the machine will itself start loading the 3D shimming field map, and after that the image acquisition actually will start. So at the end you will get a graph. These things are basically automatically set in the protocol. Once you create a voxel, you can get the signal values in by just clicking onto the selected voxel. So there we had a lesion in the pons, so we were imaging it. So as you can see, since pons is very close to the bony structures and all, you can see a lot of artifacts. See, the white lines are all irrelevant data, which is due to higher artifactual data interfering into the graph plot. So you get these kind of things. So you have to apply different protocols to stabilizing. So you have seen two colored images. So actually represents the same location. The peaks are almost the same. The difference is, what happened is that here we have added some software correction called curve fitting. So that curves will be highlighted using a red line. And I'm not sure whether the video quality is good enough to let you know, because this is recorded directly inside the department. There is no other way to show you these things. So kindly bear with me. Let's see how this goes. So I'm just going to start playing the video. So as you can see, I have selected this particular voxel. Once I change the voxel, it is changing its graph shape. As you just noticed, initially it was like this. Once I switch the voxel, it has suddenly changed to this. So that's how it happens. So you can select different voxels to see the values of different zones. Okay. So right now I'm showing you something, how to see the additional things in this graph. So you have to basically do is, in a Siemens Magnetome series machine, you have to right click in the software section and wherever graph you want to see, and then select the option called interactive. So once you do that, you will get a menu like this. So this is actually the very important part of the post processing. So you can see the protocol which we have used, chemical shift imaging, spin echo sequence of 135 TE. So the interactive post processing is here. So on the right hand side you can see all the processings which we have used. So first is water reference processing, second is a filter, zero filling, Fourier transformation, frequency shift correction, baseline correction, phase correction, and curve fitting. So this curve fitting is what enables you to get this. Okay, so I'll just continue playing the video so that I can show you what and all is happening. So once I've done that, so once I select the curve fitting off, the values, basically these are all values which we have to create. So I have to basically create a value to get it done. Okay. So what happened is, when I was doing the initial evaluation, as you can see previously, when I go back, this side it is marked in red because the curve fitting was enabled, but on the right hand side I disabled it in another menu. So once what happened here was that I actually, once you select the peak information part, when you go back here, see you have different options here. You select the peak information. What I done was, in the beginning you can add additional values which you want to show it here, which I will explain later on. So I have declicked the position part and I have hidden the fit. So once you click the fit, it will show the red sided curve fitting. So then you click here, it will come and go as you want. Okay, this was one thing which we learned while actually doing the study here. So right now what I am trying to show here is the different values which comes automatically for that voxel. You don't need anything additional to be done here. It basically shows it in this, and it is showing a calculation range. So you see here, you can see the calculation range from 1 to 4 ppm. So it is basically from here to here. The remaining part, it has not included the 0 as a correction because so much of artifacts are there. So it is actually automatically coded into the protocol. If you want to modify, you can add on modification here. Okay, so whichever value you want to take additionally. So that's one thing, and we'll just continue playing the video. So you can see the peak is well marked. So you can see two values are marked, NIA integer and W stands for width of the peak. So the x-axis, you can see 1 2 3 4 represented from inversely from the right hand side towards the left hand side, and the y-axis you can see values marked in zeros. So these are basically integers. It's actually a conversion which we use to depict the concentration. Okay, so now what happens when we try to change things here? So once you remove the curve fitting, or we have removed the water reference processing, so what happens is the peaks have both the x and y axis change. So once we remove the filter, so I basically remove the filter parameter from here, so you can see how bad the graph has become. So filter is something which improves upon the graph. Okay, so this is become very bad, the graph has become very bad. So now we are about to remove this we have selected other things, so now it has come to back to normal. Once you remove the Fourier transformation, see, you can see this data which we have acquired from the machine on Fourier transformation had become like this. It's similar when we are used for any other imaging protocol. When you deselect the Fourier transformation, the remaining coding process will not happen, the post processing will not happen. So okay, so that's how things are done. So so this is an important step. So now you know that what happens when you change those things. So next thing is, once you change the frequency shift correction, basically what happens is that the graph widths and values have a slight change and the artifacts become a little bit aberrant. Then we have changed the baseline correction. So once I click the baseline correction, you have seen negative peaks. So in some machines the negative peaks will be highlighted depending upon the remaining concentrations, but in our machine we can actually automatically hide things like this. So you have to notice still it is under the 4th ppm only, it has not gone beyond that. So baseline correction is applied whenever you want to calculate in a particular range so that the remaining part is removed. So here we have taken the calculation range from 0 to 4.3 ppm, and if you don't want like that, you can just click full, so it will include everything. Okay, so right now it is everything. You can see the baseline is so down. So then we have another thing, like, okay, when you select these things, you invariably the things which are excluded will be highlighted, the ranges which were excluded will be highlighted. So that's how things are done. So once you put the baseline correction, then the taller negative peaks are removed and the positive peaks are very well clearly seen. Okay, so that's the thing. And then I'm just trying to repeatedly show what happens again in different methods. So these things are all you can adjust on screen, which will not change the basic value, and just close the thing and you can come back. Okay, now coming to the important part, calculation of ratios. So how we do it in Siemens machine, we have something called just click on whatever value you have. So if you have clicked on Na, so you can see it as showing 1 in ratio here. So you click on choline, now choline by choline is 1, and choline versus all the ratios are coming here. That means the first one will represent choline by Na, second will represent choline by creatinine, and third will represent choline by creatinine 0.2. So you click different lines, you will get the ratio in particular. So, and finally, if you want the all values to be calculated, you can show it here itself. Okay, it will come here. So for that, what you have to do is, you have to just double click on the and press OK. So it will come like this. So the value will be shown here on that particular graph. So this is the graphical representation, this is the ratio representation. So this is what you have to report in your reports, given your reports, the ratio values. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Do continue watching the channel. Do share it with your friends. I hope this has been a great help for all the radiographers, all the postgraduates, and even my colleague radiologists. So I hope to make our videos much better. Let's hope that I can make it better. So thank you. Do put your feedbacks, your suggestions, opinions in the comment section, and do continue subscribing and watching. Thank you all.